And here we are. We have made it. Another edition of Smack Talk is now on live on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever the hell you can find us. Rick Ucchino, the legend Dutch Mantell, and filling in for Sid this week is Jeremy Bennett. Guys, welcome to the WrestleMania Backlash Go Home edition of Smack Talk. Overall, guys, I got to say, this was a very, very well done show. Not a lot to complain about. Doesn't mean we won't be making some complaints tonight, because that is our job, to analyze and criticize and nitpick here and there. But Dutch, I'll start with you. Overall, I didn't hate this show at any point tonight. There was genuinely nothing big for me to get mad at tonight at all.
No, it was a good show, solid show. The work is, excellent. It is. Even the girls, I got to give them a kind of credit tonight. That was even kind of good. It's just, to me, after I said last week I've seen 6,000 shows, or I actually have had 5,000 matches and seen 6,000, probably 30,000 matches. But it gets to the point where it's just unpredictable. So in watching this show, I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way. We're watching the WWE now.
Dutch, you're breaking up there a little bit. Are you with us still?
I am here.
Okay, we got you.
I'm in Orlando, Florida. I'm in Orlando, Florida tonight, and I went to SeaWorld today. You ever been to SeaWorld?
Out in San Diego, I have. Out in San Diego. They have a SeaWorld in San Diego, right? Yeah.
Great show. But I'm probably breaking up because I'm on a different system. But this is what I finally saw tonight. They have no really a superstar that's really over. They don't have a Hulk. They don't have a Stone Cold. They don't have a Rock. They don't have a Shawn Michaels. They don't have an Undertaker. They have a bunch of higher tier semi-main eventers, and I hate to say that, but that's what they have, and that's what they're trying to work with. But see, WWE, I don't think they care so much about the wrestling part of it, because they have so many revenue streams and all other different directions. I think wrestling is just, I don't think it's their main priority now. I really don't.
Yeah, I think the closest.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And I think the closest thing that they had was Daniel Bryan. Like, that's Daniel Bryan was incredibly over, and that was the biggest part about him, leaving the company and exiting SmackDown, was who now ascends to that spot, who takes over that spot, and we're waiting for now somebody to come in. Is Cesaro that guy? I don't know, after being with the company all that time, if he finally gets pushed. If he wins the Universal Championship on Sunday, maybe that gives him a thrust into that spot, but he's got the first crack to step up and take it. You've got guys on this. I think Roman Reigns is a top-level A+ superstar, but he's not a babyface right now. So you got to find – you had the Joker on SmackDown. You need to find your Batman, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I think Roman Reigns, if he goes back. But then they have the double problem of finding a heel that is so over that he can match up with Roman Reigns, unless Roman can make him in the first angle of the first program they have. He may be able to make it, but I've seen instances before, and it's not solved overnight. It's a long, detailed process.
Yeah, Jeremy, I think let's just say if Roman went back to being a babyface at some point and he became that top level guy, that the John Cena that they always wanted him to be, I think Seth Rollins makes a lot of sense as that big heel that could step in, because those two have a lot of history with one another.
Well, I had the exact same thought you did, Rick, except vice versa. I feel like this last week might have planted the seeds for Seth Rollins to turn babyface and maybe set up a major showdown of former Shield members at SummerSlam if Roman does get past Cesaro on Sunday. I think he'll get past Cesaro on Sunday. I'd love to be pleasantly surprised, because I'm a huge Cesaro fan. He's been in the company over 10 years, just like Tamina. She's been in the company for 10 years and finally broke through and won some gold. I'd love to see Cesaro win that major piece of gold on Sunday, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I feel like the seeds are in place, especially when Becky Lynch comes back. You know, Seth Rollins' fiance, she's going to be a babyface. I have a feeling that they're going to flip Seth Rollins and maybe set up that major collision at SummerSlam.
See, I don't think Cesaro is going to win on Sunday. I do apologize, Dutch. I do not think Cesaro.
I'm playing around.
I know. I don't think Cesaro is going to win on Sunday, but I don't think that this match is as predictable as people think, because they had put a lot of variables in place for this matchup where you could talk yourself into thinking Cesaro has a legitimate shot at doing this. And it's been all set up with the family drama going on between the Usos right now, because it is obvious. And we saw this, a great opening tonight, exchange of words between Roman and Jimmy and Jay. I loved Jimmy wearing like the nobody's bitch t-shirt. That thing will sell like hotcakes as they put it on WWE Shop. I might buy one myself. But yeah, I could see Jimmy costing Roman. I could see Jay accidentally costing Roman. I could see Seth Rollins getting involved. We didn't see Seth tonight, but there's a lot of options here where you could conceivably screw Roman Reigns over on Sunday and give Cesaro that big moment that he's been waiting his whole career for and working his whole career for.
Yeah. You said something last week, Rick, that I agreed with.
Which is shocking.
No, I did, but you said we're talking about Brock Lesnar. If he returns and runs in the ring or does something, and he goes face to face with Roman, does that leave Paul Heyman? I think that'd be a hell of a cliffhanger to leave it on. Did you bring that up, Jeremy? Or Rick?
I think it was. I think you brought up the idea of Lesnar, and I was the one who said, yeah, that would be a great.
Which way is he gonna go?
Paul Heyman standing in between, going, "Oh crap!" just doing those "oh crap" faces. Like anytime Roman Reigns gets mad, starts getting heated, you just look over at Paul Heyman and see that facial expression, like, "Oh God, someone's about to get hurt. Someone's gonna die, and I hope it's not me." Like that's like Roman Reigns is beating Paul Heyman behind the scenes. Like that's the look that Paul Heyman gives.
He's scared of him. Yeah, he is completely scared of him, which if Lesnar ever came back, I think he'd be too scared to rejoin Lesnar because he's afraid of what Roman would do, and it just because of the way he acts around him right now.
Wouldn't it be great if Brock came back and just said, "Hey, Paul, you're my bitch. Get in."
Put that on a t-shirt.
Then he opens up a shirt and says, "You're my bitch."
I'm not a Paul Heyman guy. You're Brock's bitch.
Man, they would crash the WWE Shop website when that comes live.
No, but overall I thought this was really great. The thing that impressed me the most tonight, though, was the main event, because, and Dutch, maybe you can talk about this. Jimmy Uso, you couldn't have told me he took an entire year off. This was his first match in a year coming back from an injury. I know ring rust is a real thing, but it wasn't on Jimmy Uso tonight. He looked spectacular in the ring. So,
well, I'm sure he's been at the Performance Center. I'm sure he's been there for the last, I don't know, a couple of weeks anyway. But
sure.
He didn't look like he had any ring rust at all. But it's like riding a bicycle or, doing anything. You never really forget. Your body might forget a little bit, but you never forget. So as long as he's in shape, he can do that. So he knows what has to be done and what he have to do. And I actually, the finish of that surprised me because I knew you see the introduction of the other Uso and the introduction of Roman, but the way they did that was pretty creative, I thought.
Yeah,
but
normally,
I thought that Cesaro should go over in that one.
Sure, yeah,
and then do all your extracurricular activities after that. But you got to the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Usually
different way, and Cesaro was still standing strong at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually I detest just DQ finishes.
Detest.
Hate. I hate them.
What about this word abhor?
That's a good one too.
It's
yeah.
it's fun to say. I I thought it. The DQ finish was great because it expands the story of Jimmy and Roman. I mean, Jimmy was mad at the fact that Roman cost him the match, and now you just add another layer on the slow burn of what's going to happen between these three family members.
Maxwell Burr chiming in. When is Becky Lynch expected to make a WWE return? Your guess is as good as ours, sir. Sorry, Dutch. What did I? When would I cut you off?
I'm gonna make a guess. Yes, she is. I just guess.
Oh, she's coming back. It's when is the question? Who knows?
But I was thinking, in the first one, they went from pushing Cesaro to the Uso story, and I went, wait a minute. Are they getting off track here? And even at the end, which is good to think that. But at the end, Cesaro was standing up. He was strong. And now he looks like a viable candidate to challenge Roman Reigns for the title.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they did seem like Cesaro was forgotten all of a sudden in that moment. You're right there, Dutch. It was like, oh, are we like just putting him in the back burner because like something huge is going to happen on Sunday? You know, it was really interesting that little moment at the end where he just kind of disappeared.
Did you notice that while Cesaro was doing his interview, I don't know what happened, but the words weren't in sync with what Cesaro was saying? They had dubbed it in. Did you notice that?
No, I'm not sure. I didn't notice that at all. Maybe it could have been just.
You'd be horrible murder detectives. No, I
thought it was in sync on mine, to be honest with you.
Well, it wasn't on mine. It stopped, and then he stopped. Then the words were, I don't know.
All right, but Dutch, here's the money question. Do you see any conceivable way that Cesaro walks away as Universal Champion on Sunday?
Not really. Too much time devoted to Roman. And what's the next pay-per-view?
Money in the Bank.
Okay. I don't see he walks away with it. I think it's going to be a layered finish like they always do. And you're going to get all the elements involved. The story will stay together. And that was the thing that I noticed tonight. At least they kept everything contained and together. Everything that was an angle, a program, kind of had its own little proper space, and they weren't all over the place. So does I asked you this the other week, does SmackDown have a new writer, a new head of creative? Bruce Pritchard is overseeing it.
Right.
But I don't know how many shows, we brought this up last week. How many shows is one too many? Because if you got one writer to oversee, that's 5 hours of TV. That's a lot of TV. If
anybody who's watched Raw, you can go ahead and say 2 shows is one too many. Let's bring in the fourth man of our crew, Kev Kellum, monitoring the chat tonight. Make sure to put your questions in for Dutch. I forgot to say that at the top of the show. Anything's on the table. It can be about SmackDown, or it can be about his decades plus experience in the business here. Kev, what's going on tonight, man?
Great to see you once again, Dutch. Hopefully you didn't get splashed on too bad by the orcas and the whales at SeaWorld.
Great show though.
Oh, good to hear. Good to hear.
A great show. I'm thinking.
Was it better than SmackDown? Was it better than SmackDown?
I don't know. That SmackDown was pretty good tonight. No, but the show was good. It started off, I always start out by saying, I need to just trash this thing. But after a while, they work hard. And the match that impressed me was Dolph and Mysterio.
Yeah, we briefly talked about that before we went live tonight, and you had a remark that, well, they have 200 years in the ring between each other. They should be good. I thought that was pretty good.
Let me ask you guys, while we on it, what happened? Will, who was that passed away today? Who was it?
It was New Jack. I was just about to bring that question up to you. We have a couple of people asking in the chat. We just found out maybe about 20 minutes before we went on air tonight during SmackDown. New Jack passing away at the age of 58, reportedly from PWI Insider, a heart attack confirmed by his wife and his widow. Our condolences, obviously, to his family and friends at this time. A sad loss, 58 years old. That is unfortunate. Deeply unfortunate.
Yeah, that 58 probably related to about 78, the way he lived.
True.
He lived a hard life.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any interactions with New Jack in your career?
No, he was always cordial to me. I never stepped in the ring with him. Hell, he scared me to death.
He was a legitimately scary guy.
He tried to push me off the apron, and I don't have to fall from a scalpel and hurt myself. I just fall 3 feet from the edge of the ring, and oh God, broke my leg or whatever. But no, I didn't even know him that well, but he's always very nice to me when I met him, and I would see him at conventions and different places, and he was always very cordial to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, plenty of fans also talking about SmackDown tonight and how they're building some things, and they've been able to juggle a couple of storylines. You almost brought it up here. Were they pulling? Were they taking the edge off Cesaro as this kind of toppling challenger who could potentially take out Roman for the title? Is he finally going to get his moment? And then they throw in the last few weeks this family drama with the cousins coming back together, and are they going to get along? And are they going to fall underneath him? Do you think there's too many plates they're spinning with one match, or do you think if it's just enough, they can keep it all on the plate and not let it spill over?
I think they can, because they got so many ways to go now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And no matter which way they go, it kind of makes sense. And my booking philosophy always was don't go too far where you can't back it up.
Okay.
And go another way.
Mm-hmm.
But those was in the days when you had live shows and you could actually gauge the interest.
Yeah,
by the fans, and you can't do that. You're still guessing.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, they've done the guessing game right.
Ozzy texting in here, congratulations to the new women's tag team champions. A lot of fans said they should have done this at WrestleMania, but they went with it now. A WrestleMania rematch. Tamina and Natalya, the veterans, finally get their moments. Natalya has won the title, but this is the first time Tamina, who's been in the company for well over 10 years, wins a championship in WWE. They defeat Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Reginald is ejected from ringside. That's when I knew things were going good. They held off.
Company. Need to eject him from a plane.
I love
without a parachute.
Oh, come on now.
I know that's a little harsh. I thought
they had a really creative finish, I think, here too, where basically Natalya came to Tamina's aid and took a Samoan drop, only to leave the option open for Tamina to hit that big splash in the eye. I thought that was pretty creative. It was kind of telegraphed, like once they started doing it, but I liked it, and it made sense. Really emotional post match as well for both of them to have this moment. What did you think of it, Dutch?
Well, if she'd have got a tear or two, but she didn't. But she did a good job, and I think Tamina did a good job. Yeah, but telling her story that she'd been around so long and all this, and I think people relate to those stories like that because they can see themselves in the performer. So I liked it.
Absolutely. I thought it was the best part of the night outside the ending, which left a lot of questions, and it adds something. Sometimes it's just, I noticed this too. Got to bring this up. Maybe everybody else can comment on this too. Is this shows the depth of WWE. They could have done this on the pay-per-view on Sunday, but they have so much sometimes that it's just like, why don't we do something the Friday before and kind of pop some fan interest and run with it? Go ahead there.
Well, yeah, Kevin, and this is something Paul brings up. He's like, why is the IC title not being defended this Sunday? Why are they waiting until next Friday? And this is something that we talked about on the Inside Cradle, right? Like, this is what AEW does. They put these title matches and they have title changes and they put all this effort into making their Dynamites feel special. And yeah, now they feel like they're doing this on SmackDown, right? So they have a full card. They have 6-7 matches lined up for WrestleMania Backlash. No need to make that a 3 or a 4 hour show. Make that your main event next week on Friday Night SmackDown and get more people to tune in on Fox. They're trying to make SmackDown feel special, and that's what I love about putting that match on next week. And also that's what I loved about having this tag team title match and having this title change tonight. Yes, it probably should have happened at WrestleMania, but still the fact is it happened, and it makes, it gives that anything could happen on SmackDown, right, Jeremy? Or am I just talking out of my butt on this one?
Yeah, and I see all around the internet, everybody is loving the 2.5 hour pay-per-views, and everybody's loving, just like everybody loved the 2-night WrestleManias, because we don't want to sit there for 8 hours and get burnt out for something that's going to be exciting and a big pop, especially when the crowds come back. So I like
a million times. I've told the story a million times. I'm the biggest Becky Lynch homer on the planet. WrestleMania 35. I've been waiting all year for that main event. Yeah. And I could not stay awake during the main event because it was going on at 1:00 in the morning. All right. The crowd was dead because it was 1:00 in the morning. It's ridiculous to have a show that long and go.
Oh my God. Well, Rick, I may have said that before. I say so many things sometimes I even forget what I say. But when I see a movie and it says, 3 hours or close to 3 hours, I'm not watching it. Because that's a commitment for me. So if you're watching a pay-per-view and it's going and going and going and going, after a while, you actually get pissed off a little bit, I think. See, come on, guys, give me a finish and let's go home. I got to go to bed. I got to get up in the morning. I'm not like you guys. So let me bring this up. Raw was always Vince's baby.
Right.
And when they started SmackDown, even when I was there, I kept hearing, well, Vince is okay as long as SmackDown doesn't even come close to Raw. But now it's beating Raw. So what do you think is going on behind closed doors at Titan Towers with Vince?
I think it's a lot of money coming in from the Fox network and them saying, you all need to make this show really, really good. And that's the focus. That's my theory. It's not my theory, but that seems to be the most popular theory as to why they put all this energy and everything into SmackDown is because they're getting a ton of money from Fox and they want to make this show really, really good. So it's been the A show for a while now.
And it's broadcast television. It's not on cable. So it's going to reach a lot more people. And so it's a reach that WWE has not really had with their main flagship programs. They've always been a cable program. So for them to be on broadcast television was a huge deal when that news broke.
Well, I don't think he's happy with it. He's happy with the money. let me ask you, I've heard all kind of differing stories. Now, fans, you can advise this because I'm asking like a fan there because I don't know. What does WWE get for one show in Saudi Arabia? Does the government pay that? The Saudi Arabian government, do they pick up the bill for that?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're paying that, and it's a lot.
And it's a free show, or the people pay to get in?
That I can't tell you, to be completely honest with you. I don't know how the gates and all that stuff work on out in Saudi Arabia. I couldn't even begin to tell you. But actually, Jeremy, wasn't there a story that like people like were told they had to go to that show?
Yeah, because if you notice, I think there's a lot of kind of ranking officials are in the crowd. A lot that you see kind of in the upfront part of the around the ring, kind of the high dollar value seats. I think those are a lot of ranking officials and their families, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, let me ask this: are women allowed to go to the matches in Saudi Arabia?
There's been one women's match in Saudi Arabia. There have been women in the crowd since they started doing them. But it was Natalya and Lacey Evans. Natalya and Lacey Evans were the first women's match in Saudi Arabia.
Didn't Alexa and someone didn't they have a second match in Saudi Arabia with Alexa and somebody?
I can't remember, to be completely honest.
That was in the United Arab Emirates. It wasn't in Saudi Arabia. That's the only difference.
So where is that?
It's in the region. It's in the same region in the Middle East. They just didn't have the match in Saudi Arabia.
What country though?
I believe UAE, the United Arab Emirates, which is not too far away from there. That's what I can recall. I'll pop back into the chat. I'm out.
You're our geography expert from here on in.
And wasn't sure of his answer, and he popped out. That's a great way to do it. But anyway, I heard $25 million. But I've heard a lot of stuff. But that seems to be kind of bizarre to get $25 million for one show. But they got the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'd read that they are bringing in WWE to westernize their country, kind of something along those lines. I don't know. I didn't know.
I'm not sure. I just know that there is a big purse involved with that.
A huge one. But one time they have a lot of trouble there, and the guys didn't leave till late, and they kept saying we got a problem with the plane, and what it was a problem with the money.
Yeah, they got detained for like 18 hours, I think it was.
Not Vince though. Vince and a few other guys got out on a private jet and left left a bunch of the boys in the on the tarmac basically. So it was a big ordeal back. God, that seems like forever and a day ago. Was that like 2019?
It was, yes.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, let's hop back into SmackDown here a little bit. Again, I thought the women's tag team title match was the moment of the night for me. For the first time in a while, Jeremy, it felt like these titles felt important. We've seen so many 2 and 3 minute matches. Heck, I think the last title defense that Nia and Shayna had was against Lana and Naomi, and it was 2 minutes flat. This one, they actually took some time. They built up Tamina at the beginning. And I know Kev brought this up, that this is like her first major championship. And even Michael Cole said it on the broadcast. It was the first major championship. And how dare both of you bury the 24/7 title like that? But they really kind of push this as this is Tamina's crowning achievement. This is her moment. You had tears afterwards. They had the pyro afterwards. They finally made these titles feel like a big deal. And I loved it. To me, this was absolutely the match of the night.
Yeah, and then you have the
night, at least.
You have the post-match interview. Both women are emotional. It was truly a big deal. And I think you look at Tamina's career, it started at about 11 years ago. She came in with the Usos, so to speak. She came in with the Usos to feud with the Hart Dynasty and attacking Natalya. Yeah. And you come full circle. It's so weird. It's how you've been there for so long and you haven't even held a single piece of gold out. Sorry, 24/7. But and Dutch might be able to speak on it more than us. But how does it feel for a wrestler that's been grinding for so long but never even had that kind of accomplishment to finally do it on this night?
Oh, it feels great. After you travel and bust your butt and sweat and get hurt and get laid up, and all of a sudden, well, we're going to go with you a little bit. Yeah, it's a validation of your talent, or it could be a validation of how long you've been there. We could almost apply this to the Cesaro example.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there so long and they've really not done anything with him. I mean, when they put him with me and Jack as the Real Americans, I thought that would be a really a shooting out point for all of us. But after a while, I guess we got caught up in the same circle, and then all of a sudden we were just, instead of us bringing him up, hell, we went down. I mean, but Cesaro was like at the same level. But it's this wrestling business is funny. You can't predict it, and it's liable to do anything.
It feels like a lifetime ago when Cesaro showed up with Oksana. Just that whole.
I thought about that.
Yeah, that's how he debuted on main roster television, was with Oksana, and that just feels like a lifetime ago. And now here is Cesaro finally 10, 11 years later. I can't remember when he debuted, but it was close. It's definitely been close to 10, and here he is finally getting that world title shot that he deserves.
Yeah, he won the United States Championship, if I remember correctly. So he has had some singles gold, but that seems forever and a day ago. I can't remember the last time he had that. But since then, he's kind of just been floating around with different tag partners. Now, him and Sheamus, they were a great team. The bar was fantastic.
They were a great team.
Yeah, multi-time tag team. Then he got put in with Nakamura. It's like he gets and him and Tyson Kidd were together for a while too, and they were really, really good. So it's like he's always been able to be a great tag team wrestler and find partners and find a little bit of success. But now he's finally getting a Universal Championship match, and I'm pulling for him, man. Even if he has it for 2 days, like they did to Christian, at least he had it. It doesn't matter how he wins it, how long he has it. At least people will remember him as being a world champion at some point. And I hope he gets that moment.
I wouldn't be mad if they did that. I would, because I would truly be happy in the moment on Sunday evening when we go off the air and Cesaro is finally a world champion. If he loses it on SmackDown on Friday because Roman is mad and he strong arms his way with management, or gets in with that crooked management of Sonya Deville, because she's crooked, I would not be mad, because Cesaro had a run as world champion.
Yeah. I don't care how long it is. I'm 100% with you. We'll see if that happens on Sunday, or maybe even, heck, he could lose on Sunday and then turn around and win Money in the Bank in June, and then we're off and running. That would be a great way to put the championship on him, just like they did with Dolph Ziggler so many years ago. Speaking of Dolph Ziggler, Dutch, match of the night, in your opinion, him and Rey Mysterio. As you said, a lot of experience between these two guys, but man, this match slapped. Just so ridiculously smooth between these guys tonight.
Oh, it was. If you watched it, it was a art. And you know how long it takes these guys with that much experience like Dolph and Mysterio to put that match together. It probably takes them maybe 30 minutes, maybe, and they got it.
Yep.
Let's go dance.
And they trust each other. They trust each other.
Yeah. They've worked together so long, so many times. With blah 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 blah. Hey, I was in a dressing room one time with Kurt. Who was Kurt Hennig's father? Larry Hennig.
Axe, yeah, the Axe Man.
And I forgot who he was working with, Vader or something. I forgot.
Or Mr. Are you talking about Mr. Perfect?
No, his dad.
Oh, his dad, Axe. Yeah, the Axe.
And he was working. I forgot who he was working with now. And I was really young in the business, so I heard him talking over. And one of them says, "We'll pay off or something." And he said, "Let's just go out there and bam, 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 and then bam, 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 and then bam, 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 bam." And that's what they said.
Yeah.
And one of them said, "I got it. Let's go." And I said, "Damn, I got to watch this match. I got to watch this bam, bam match." And they went out there and they tore the house down. And I went, "Wow, is that the way you do it?" They didn't talk nothing up, but they had worked together so much. And they have done this exact same finish so much that they kind of knew it. But bam, 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 I guess. But it was a great match, and it just amazed me. And I was thinking, well, is that how they do it?
They probably had their own language that they just spoke together, and it made sense to them.
It is, and that's one of the things that I've learned in the last 10, 11 months in just stepping into the ring. It really is, when you're setting up a match, it's your own language, and everybody speaks it differently. So if you have more of an amateur style and you say something to a professional wrestler, you might be saying something completely different, and you got to make sure that they know what the hell you're talking about. So yeah, if you have a lot of experience with somebody, as Dutch said, yeah, it might just be simple as bells and clicks and whistles and boom, we're off to the races. So
it amazed me. And I learned a lesson that day that, hey, this is the way it is. So I remembered it.
Rey Mysterio does get the win over Dolph Ziggler tonight on a roll-up finish. Still fantastic match. Question I have for you, gentlemen, and Dutch, I'll start with you. Should the Mysterios win the tag team titles on Sunday at WrestleMania Backlash?
Yes, I think they will win them. Because it's, first of all, it's history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Father-son holding it. It's historical. So I think they'll walk away with the tag team title Sunday.
I think
and in a great match.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think this could be a shining moment for Dominic here, and I got so mad, and I'm gonna try to not think about it because this should have been done at WrestleMania in the first place. But the Mysterios, they're gonna win. There's no doubt about it. My question though is, after that great moment, and then what do you do with the Dirty Dogs? Do you think that they do start to maybe finally get Robert Roode into that kind of Cesaro scenario, a veteran that's never had a crack at the top of it, and maybe start pushing him?
I think Robert Roode's career up to this point has been much more rockier than Cesaro has been. Yeah. How long has he been on the main Raw or the top tier talent list? How long has he been there? 4
or 5 years now, I think.
Yeah.
But when did he leave NXT?
I want to say 2017, but I'm not exactly sure.
Around there.
Let me work Google on the internet machine, and I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay, he left NXT in 2017, but yet he still didn't make any kind of an impact on the Raw roster or the SmackDown roster. He was just a name.
I was right. 2017, yes. Yeah.
Like some people knew, and they just recently, within a year or so, right, started bringing him up. I don't think that they may just maybe give him a little bit of time off and then bring him back in.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're a great tag team.
I think they're going to keep together as a tag team because they only have 5 on the entire SmackDown roster.
Yep.
And they're a good tag team.
Some tag teams they can work with. They can work with The Street Profits, I think they've already proved that. And what other tag teams they got?
I got
Alpha
Otis and
Academy.
Gable.
Yeah.
Yep.
You could give me a program between.
I like those guys too. And I think Dolph and Gable would have a hell of a program.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be fun. Don't even need a storyline on that one. Just if you just told me Dolph and Gable were going to go, I'm like, all right, give me my popcorn. I'm ready to go. I don't need to
give me
shut up and give me what I want.
Give me 15 minutes, please.
Yeah, that's the beauty of booking guys that have talent. The story tells itself.
Yeah.
You just write it down and maybe modify it a little bit and let them go.
Yeah,
because they're going to turn in some hellacious matches and nobody will get hurt in the program. I think the winner will probably, he'll get over a little more, but then sometimes they can be remembered for great programs. I mean, I still had a program years and years ago. People, when they finally know who I am, they talk about the match. They said at the time they were just so. This was back when people really believed it, but they told me that that's what got them interested in wrestling. And of course, I apologized to them. I said, "I'm sorry to hear that." But right, those two guys were good. I think it would be easy to book them, and the story tells itself.
Well, I think we are all in agreement on this one. I think the Mysterios do win on Sunday. I wish that they would have done this at WrestleMania in front of people, given Dominic and Ray that, because it is history. It is a huge moment. I think it should be done in front of people, which is why I almost want to see them wait until SummerSlam to do it, or wait until July to do it, because the rumor is now they're going on tour back in July. So you wouldn't even have to wait that much longer, to be honest with you. But it's going to be great. It reminds me of when Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. were both on the Mariners and they both hit home runs in the same game. Yeah. It's just going to be a really, really cool thing. And it doesn't happen very often. It's never happened in WWE. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It does happen.
I don't think it's going to be a short reign either. So I think they're going to get that live pop coming into SummerSlam with whoever they are in a program with, preferably Street Profits, because that would be a fun match to see, even though it's two babyface teams.
I think it's going to be the Usos. We didn't even see the Street Profits tonight, or Sasha Banks,
no, we didn't.
Or a few other people.
We saw
Rollins.
We saw your Mr. Black tonight.
Yeah,
we did. We did see Mr. Black tonight.
He didn't get bumped.
No, and he, by the way, I still had no clue what he was talking about. not a damn thing, but somebody, I got to find it. Yes. Somebody tweeted at me, because I tweeted it out that I still had no idea what he was talking about, but I got to give a shout out to Lenum AES. He said, look, this is the easiest way I can look at it. They're completely rebooting his main roster character. They're establishing backstory. He's been raised by his father, who seems to be the leader of a dark cult, to see the world's darkness and cruelty and embody it as a true path to power, which basically means Aleister Black is now a Sith Lord. That is the basic way that I can just bury that deep down. He's using darkness and hate to fuel him to become this powerful entity and this powerful human being and this really scary badass dude. So basically, he's a Sith Lord. Let's just skip to the end and get him back in the ring, please.
Yeah, I think it's given him a newer energy. He was always this calm, dark kind of character with his persona in NXT in the main roster. And I think the storytelling, it kind of gives him, it's a darker, storytelling, but it gives him a little bit more of an energy, a little bit more of a pop in his delivery. So I think it hopefully can maybe give him a more developed character to succeed, because he's got the talent in the ring. So hopefully this kind of puts it all together for him.
So you're an Aleister fan, correct?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Same here.
Rick.
Yep.
Where does he go from here, though? I'm looking at him, and like you said, you don't know what he said.
We don't know if he's going to be babyface or heel either.
He's talking like he's going to be a heel, though, because he's talking about how I teach you these lessons, but I'm not going to, because you're meaningless, basically. That's the only thing I'm getting out of this, is he's got all these lessons, but he's choosing not to teach us because we're not worthy. That sounds like a heel to me.
Yeah, if he is a heel, which I think he is, he's talking like a heel. The people don't understand the message, but remember when I said a week or two ago, sometimes in booking, it's not the first step,
Mhm.
it's the second step. So who would he have his first program with?
Gosh, I don't even know, because you got to look at your other baby faces. Kevin Owens, that was literally his last feud before he took this long hiatus that he was on. Cesaro could be another option, but he was his first real feud when he got brought up to the main roster. So we've already seen those two. And Rey Mysterio is one that makes a lot of sense, but if Rey Mysterio is a tag team champion, not going to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is or who his first partner is, unless they're getting ready to turn somebody babyface, because they got a lot of heels on SmackDown. And as we've talked about, they don't have a lot of baby faces to oppose them.
Mm-hmm. Or baby faces that mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I used to be on some booking committees. They said, "Oh, let's leave them laying. It gets heat." I said, "That doesn't get heat." I said, "It's according to who you leave laying. If you leave laying a lot on underneath talent that nobody really cares about, nobody caars.
Right.
You got to beat up somebody they care for." See, Daniel Bryan was perfect for that. Because when you got to him and you laid him out, you kind of felt that. And that was a layover from his WrestleMania 30 win, because the people popped so much, nobody thought he'd win it, but he did. But they kind of cared for the character. They cared for him. Therefore, he got over. But I don't know who that person is.
It's gonna, they're gonna have Black go start off just basically squashing people. I think is the best thing to do to rebuild his character. And you look at the roster, you just got to go with people that are probably expendable to start out with. Guys that come to mind are probably guys that just aren't being used right now. Murphy, Shane Thorne. After leaving Retribution, he's moved over to SmackDown now. So maybe guys that just haven't been in the fold that are expendable to be kind of squashed by Black as he starts to come back up.
Let me bring this up before we go any further. See, AEW, they expose a lot of guys. Some of them are not ready. I agree to that. But they expose different people that you've never seen before. I've been here on this show for my fifth show maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
But I don't think they've changed one talent. It's been the same talent since I started as it was tonight. Except for maybe King Corbin was probably on the first couple of shows. So does that have anything to do with it? I mean, the roster hasn't expanded, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, not since WrestleMania. The only person we've really seen that we hadn't seen heading into WrestleMania was Bayley, and she's basically taken the place of Sasha Banks because they haven't put Sasha on television since the night after, or since the SmackDown after WrestleMania. One person I would sign up for, by the way, as the first feud with Aleister Black is somebody we're going to talk a little bit more about later, and that is Shinsuke Nakamura. But let's bring in Kev Kellum here, the man mining the chat tonight, looking for the goodies for our man Dutch Mantell.
Dutch, you brought up booking and being on booking committees, and we have some fans, and I want everyone watching to be welcoming of new fans. Someone hopped in the show and they know you as a wrestling manager, but did not know you were involved in the creative direction of several different televised wrestling shows.
What?
And they didn't know. They just didn't know you were a booker. They didn't know you were behind the curtain there. Calling
some respect.
Yeah. But they said, did you ever book matches and different things like that? How did you get into booking? How did you make the jump from being a talent to being involved in the creative of putting cards together?
Well, in the early 90s, the business just fell upon itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the expansion of WWF and then WCW, the smaller companies, the mom and pops, as I call them, they couldn't compete. So therefore, unless you worked for WWF or you worked for WCW, basically, you didn't make any money. So I started, I'd hit a hot run in Puerto Rico about 10 years earlier, and the people still remembered me. So I called up down there and I said, "Hey, won't you make me your booker?" They took me serious. So I went in as a booker, and I started booking and telling episodic TV week after week after week after week. And the ratings, they came up like a 7, which is unbelievable today. They came up to about a 14. It's because and it was the same. It's the same thing you're seeing on.
And that's in Puerto Rico, so that's a small area. You're taking over a whole town then.
Yeah, but the people are people, and this is always been my feeling about book. And you got to touch them right here. You got to touch them in the heart. Once you get them in the heart, you got them. Mm-hmm. You can do anything as long as they're feeling what you want them to feel, because that's what wrestling is. It's emotional. You want it to be emotional. You want them to feel that if you beat up one of their favorites, you're actually beating up a family member. That's what you want them to feel, and that's what I did in Puerto Rico. And I never overthought it. I sat down. I said, "Well, this would be good. This would be good. This would be good," and I had nowhere near the talent level of a SmackDown. Believe me, I had maybe 5 guys, maybe, and but I guess you could get by with different stuff back then because it was just the way it was. But anyway, the show was very good. It was getting primetime ratings at 11 o'clock, at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Primetime ratings, almost the ratings that Memphis used to get. So we got them.
Hell yeah, man.
Moral of that story: always shoot your shot, folks.
Oh yeah, just keep. Hey, listen, if you ever want something, ask for it.
It doesn't hurt.
Now, the worst thing they can say is what?
No.
And then
or you're fired.
Week, if you're not working there, or get out of here, or I'm going to shoot you or something. They can do that. And just keep asking. I remember I went to go to the WWF one time. I called every week or every 2 weeks for a year. I called so much that the receptionist lady, I forgot her name, she knew my voice. And she said, WWF, and is Vince in? Oh, hi, Dutch. How you doing? She knew my voice. Of course, it was the same rigmarole. Well, he's not in, and can I take a message? And I said, well, it's my message that I've been leaving for the last 6 months. And she said, oh, I got it. Hope you do well. Okay, bye. And she's gone. So
what was it like when you
you got to keep trying.
You make me want to ask you another question. What was it like when you finally got a hold of Vince on the phone?
I never did get a hold of him on the phone. They just J.J. Dillon called me.
Okay, that makes sense.
J.J. Dillon, they said, hey, you had. And then I learned something else too. I was calling just asking to come in. Mm-hmm. The last time I called J.J. Dillon. I said, you got the Blues Brothers coming in, Ron and Don Harris. I said, why don't you let me manage them? He said, hey, that's not a bad idea. So then he took it into Vince. He called me back 30 minutes later. He said, Vince loves it. You start on such and such a day. Okay. And I said, damn, if I'd known this, I'd done it 2 years ago.
I would have sent you a whole notebook of ideas if you guys were going to call.
But sometimes you got to do the thinking for them. You got to put it in their head. It's like you're selling a car. Mm-hmm. You can't say, oh, the car runs good. It's got good tires. Okay. You can say that. But the expense of it and how fast it can go and how long it can run and how good it looks, and that's what you're selling. So I learned something. I taught myself, but I actually learned something.
Question here. Pratik asked this a couple times. Thank you so much, Pratik, for hanging in there and getting this question. He says, hey, Dutch, when are we going to get unique custom pay-per-view stages for every pay-per-view, like WrestleMania or SummerSlam? Wrestling's going to come back in front of live fans, and there are some fans that love the show of it, the spectacle of it. You've been a part of some WrestleManias in the past with those extravagant stages and production and the screens. And is there any particular setup for a show that you remember, you recall, of like, wow, this isn't just wrestling in a gymnasium or an armory, which has its own romance to it. But this was the big time. When did you feel wrestling made that shift where, all right, you got to have a giant stage and you got to have all these different bells and whistles added to it?
WrestleMania 1. That's where it started. Mm-hmm. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And to see it real life, like the setup in New Orleans for WrestleMania 30 was just huge. But you had this huge stadium behind it as the backdrop. So if you look out there, you says, boy, it's come a long way from the National Guard Armory down the street to this big 78,000 seat stadium. And sometimes they build the stages. It costs $1 million to build stages or more now for the WrestleManias. And you know what it costs? I learned one time what it costs just to set up lighting for a regular house show. I mean, for a regular, say a Raw on the road, you know what it
Yeah.
costs to set up?
On Monday Night Raw is around like the rigging of that show is around $500,000.
Well, not the lights.
Not the lights. No, lights completely different thing. Yeah.
Lights is about probably $75,000 now, and I think just for lights, I said, hell, I can hire a bunch of homeless people off the street to sign flashlights down there, and you can get as much.
And we'll still get a 14 rating.
Yeah, we'll still get it.
Might have better ambiance.
but hit left. Vince had a different vision about it, and instituted that vision, and now it's paid off for him, because didn't WWE make more money last quarter than they've ever made before without touring?
Yep.
Yeah, just off the television rights, just off these three.
No ticket sales, no nothing.
Yeah.
Well, why would he want to go touring again? Just put them back to work?
What do you think about that, Dutch? I mean, we're in this pandemic. People are coming out of it. People want shows. Do you hold back, or do you wait until everyone's coming back?
No, I think he'll do great when he goes back on the road, because the people have been held back for about 18 months. They're ready to get out, and they're sick and tired of staying in their house, and to be ordered to stay into the house. They were like, a lot of people were like under house arrest, and they had done nothing wrong except they'd had this virus going on.
Right.
So they're ready to get out. They're ready to get going. And remember, I told you I was at SeaWorld today. It was packed.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
And it was.
I believe it. You got all these states that are lifting up the restrictions now. Ohio, where I'm at, they're lifting everything on June the 2nd. Kentucky, right near the right below us, is June 11th. So I mean, you're getting everybody ready. Here's the other thing: why they're going to go back touring is I honestly believe the ratings are going to go, because I know several people who have stopped watching because they can't deal with the piped in crowd noise. They miss actual live audiences and live reactions, and I know the wrestlers miss it. I've damn near talked to half the roster in the last year. I know they miss performing in front of actual people. There are going to be people who are going to tune in just to see a live crowd again. So that's why you go back on tour for sure. One, to keep the talent happy, but two, you're going to get a pop in ratings because you're going to get people back to watch the live audiences again.
Those crowds are going to be so hot too. Once those first television tapings, I mean,
I think AEW has kind of went back to the live crowd, especially in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And I think somebody told me that the last taping they had, it was electric in the building. So I don't know what that means, but I guess they were more lively than usual.
Yeah, it's like that place holds about.
Had Tony Khan down there with a 220-volt, electrical sticking people.
They could have had another explosion. Barbed wire.
Did you go there?
Sorry. We have fun on this show. Kev, we appreciate you popping in as always, man. If we get any more good questions before the end of the show, feel free to pop back in, good sir. Guys, we do have two other things that I wanted to talk about before we close out the show tonight. One, brought him up earlier, Shinsuke Nakamura and King Corbin had a pretty nice little match there. King Corbin wins as Nakamura's trying to lock in the armbar, and he just falls on top of him and sandwiches him. I actually didn't mind that finish too much. But the interesting thing is Nakamura gets back up afterwards, hits him with a King Shaza, and then in very Shinsuke Nakamura fashion, takes King Corbin's crown and runs off with it. And I know I'm not the only person who said this out on Twitter. Please tell me that this is a hint that we're getting a new King of the Ring tournament.
Has to be.
Please tell me it is coming up, because we had talked about this before. King Corbin has been the king since summer of 2019. It is time to move on from that gimmick and make him defend the damn crown. I don't care. But as long as the finals is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Xavier Woods, Jeremy, I'm perfectly fine with this.
Yes, because I think Xavier Woods needs to be in this tournament because he's made it his lifelong goal to be king. But man, Shinsuke Nakamura, his actions with that crown, it was so good. Him posing in the mirror after coming back from commercial. It's giving us something with Shinsuke that we haven't had in a storyline in a very long time. We were sitting here wondering why these two were involved in the pinfall last week, and then we get the rematch this week. We're thinking, we're trained WWE style. Oh, this is going to be your 50-50 booking, and we'll get a rubber match at either the kickoff show Sunday or somewhere down the line. but Corbin wins 2 in a row, but then it gets interesting, and now we have a storyline with Nakamura taking the crown, and I loved it. I thought it brought something that's gonna involve 2 guys that haven't really had any involvement in SmackDown in a while.
I liked it because they started when he stole the crown. That starts it.
Mm-hmm.
He took it. Now he wants it back. And I don't know about the King of the, but I think it would be a good program between these two. I'm not really schooled on Nakamura. I've seen him, but I don't know his story. King Corbin, I don't know his story either. See, really, I'm starting on all this stuff. I'm not trying to research this.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, when you guys talk about the past, I'm taking you at your word because, like, I haven't watched wrestling in like 5 years or whatever, 6 years. Not since I've been in WWE, and I didn't even watch it then. I was there while the show was going on, and it was on the screen in the locker room. I still didn't watch it. You know, I was getting ready, taking a shower, doing this, doing that, and I mean, let everybody else do their business. But and that just goes to show you how easy it is to start an angle. Doesn't matter who gets. It doesn't matter who gets beat.
Simple storytelling.
Who really emerges the winner? So you had 2 winners tonight. You had Corbin got the pin, and then you had Nakamura took the crown. So that's what people are going to remember.
And you talk about bringing in new talent. That's what they've done. These are, as Jeremy said, these are 2 guys that they haven't really done a whole lot with. They gave Nakamura like that brief little moment of hope. This was like back when Cesaro was still working on his contract extension. So they gave him that run in the gauntlet match that Adam Pearce ended up winning thanks to Roman Reigns. And everybody thought, oh, maybe that's the start of something. And then it wasn't. So maybe this is the start of something tonight, at least doing something with these guys.
I mean,
King Corbin is just as talented as you know, I'm not going to say he's as good of a wrestler as Shinsuke Nakamura is. They got completely different styles, but they're both really, really good at what they do. And to not use them is a crime. So let's use them, put them together, and see what they come out of this.
Yeah, I mean, Corbin's one of the best pure heels in the business. Everybody hates him. That's what makes you a great heel. Nakamura won the Royal Rumble, and what is Nakamura won the Royal Rumble, and he's never gotten to that kind of pinnacle since he won the Royal Rumble. And it's kind of frustrating because we all know what kind of talent he is from back when he wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling and what he did in NXT. And it's kind of, it's just kind of frustrating for fans of Nakamura for him to not be doing anything. And now finally we get something that can bring his personality out.
He should have beat AJ Styles at least one time. They wrestled 5 times throughout the entire summer for the WWE title in 2019. He should have beat him at Mania. Yeah. They never should have turned him heel in the first place at Mania, but he should have won at some point throughout. They could have traded it back and forth. That feud that they had would have been so much better if they would have booked it like Charlotte and Sasha Banks, where they were constantly trading the title back and forth with one another. And it would have given Shinsuke his moment, and it would have put him on that upper echelon of talent. Instead, he constantly loses, and then it's like, okay, where did we go from here? They gave him the United States title. He never defended it. They gave him the Intercontinental title. He never defended it, and now hopefully they're going to do something with him from here on out.
And you were right. We had all this hope. When that gauntlet match happened. We're like, oh, is this going to be a program with him and Roman? And then poof, nothing.
Poof. I hate poofs.
I know.
I hate that stuff. So you guys like King Corbin, right?
As a performer, absolutely, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
would love to see more out of him.
I'm gonna give you my. To me, I don't get it with him. Great talent, good talent.
But the King gimmick sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks. It ain't that good.
He had this lone wolf persona, kind of a biker persona in NXT, and I thought it really worked well. But then obviously he kind of morphed into this corporate guy once he got rolling in the main roster, winning the Money in the Bank contract 4 years ago already now. Wow. So he's got that kind of personality of a great heel. He's good athlete, maybe not the best worker in the ring, but he's a very good worker in the ring. That King gimmick. Like Dutch said, sucks is too good.
He hasn't done anything since he won that damn crown.
No,
nothing except lose.
But
He's
now
lost. That's it.
and now we have something tangible that you can do with that crown. It's been stolen, and now we have an interesting story. We're going to, I'm looking forward to what the next chapter is in this story.
Absolutely. One thing that I am definitely...
Rick, let me ask you something. What was Xavier Woods' name in TNA?
Consequences Creed.
Yeah, I was going to say it was Creed. Yeah.
You know how he got in there?
No.
He was a friend of AJ's.
Oh.
Because I think Xavier, he's from, I don't know if he's from Georgia. I don't know. He went to
Atlanta. Yeah, he's from Atlanta.
But he went to Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina, I think. One of those schools. And he started independent wrestling and met AJ on the independents. So when we needed somebody, I think, and AJ, he didn't ask. I think he just saw that where the need was, and he put a word in for him. And we said, yeah, bring him in.
Oh, wow.
So, and he's great. He's a great talent. Good guy too. Good guy too.
Everybody talks about, getting Big E that push, that singles push. I'm waiting for the day when Xavier Woods gets his moment, and hopefully it's as the King of the Ring in 2021.
Oh, he would do so good with that crown.
Yes, he would. Oh my God, yes, he would. One last thing to get into, guys, tonight, and that was the exchange between Bianca Belair and Bayley setting up their matchup this Sunday for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I love the cocky Bianca tonight. I love what we got out of Bayley too, especially the line that she dropped tonight, which I thought was the line of herself, where she talked about the sequins and the ponytail and everything, and said, you know what? You're me. You're who I used to be. And that was so good to me, because it's like, that's why you hate her so much. You hate her so much because she reminds you of what you used to be, and the old you, for all intents and purposes, failed, which is why you turned into this character and ascended to heights that you hadn't reached on the quote-unquote main roster. But here's the other thing. Nobody believed in Bayley. We never had anybody in commentary saying, oh, Bayley's guaranteed to be a women's champion one day, like they were with Bianca Belair. So Bayley sees how everybody takes Bianca seriously, and she's like, nobody did that to me when I was that up and comer, and she hates it. She hates it. She hates Bianca, and she's out to not only beat Bianca on Sunday, but she's out to beat herself. It gave so much depth to this title match on Sunday, and it made me that much more excited to see it.
I love that laugh. That laugh is so good.
I like Rick's laugh.
You know what? Jeremy's, yours sounds a lot like mine does, to be completely honest with you.
I also like Ted DiBiase's laugh too. So there's a lot of good laughs in pro wrestling.
But Bianca tonight, she went into the ring with that blue outfit on.
Yeah.
And that blue lipstick. And I'm thinking, she looks more like a heel than she does like a baby face. And so if you have a new fan, of course, the old fans know that she's the good girl.
Right.
But for a new fan, you couldn't tell any difference from a heel. But actually, it was a good exchange. And it was different that they didn't. I was thinking, okay, she's going to be back screen. Then all of a sudden, she's going to come for the back. And
yeah, I feel like.
But see, I wouldn't think that way unless the WWE had taught me to expect those things.
Yeah, I think she's just kind of repping the colors of her brand with SmackDown, but I think she is more of a natural heel with her work in NXT. The babyface story was good. It was well done at WrestleMania, but I think she does flourish better as a heel.
Yeah, I mean, her whole gimmick is, I'm the best, I'm better than you. I mean,
you know it.
Yeah, and you know it, and I know it, and you can't beat me, and this, that, and the other thing. Like, there's a fine line between, confidence and arrogance. And, she does come off very, very arrogant, and that tends to lead more heel than not. So maybe that's the seeds that we're laying here is, what if Bayley wins on Sunday? And that kind of sends Bianca down that spiral, much like we saw, with Bayley. Like, I had everything. I had just won the main event of WrestleMania. This is the first championship I've held in 5 years. And 1 month later, it's gone. And you lost not only that title, but you lost it to one of the Golden Girls, one of the four horsewomen again.
And with having that fine line, it makes it very easy to turn heel.
Absolutely. Sure and then immediately flip Bayley babyface. Or Sasha for that matter.
I mean, Bailey, side ponytail baby, she was the ultimate baby face. No one could have ever thought she'd be a heel, and then she turns into this tremendous heel over the past 2 years. So,
and WWE forced her to do that basically by the way that they booked her. Yeah. And remember when she got squashed by Alexa Bliss in that kendo stick on a pole match because she didn't want to hit Alexa with a kendo stick?
Yeah, because she was too nice.
Yeah, because she was too nice. Her character was she was too nice. Well, too nice doesn't win in WWE, and then the fans stopped caring about her as much as they did in NXT. She was basically female John Cena in NXT. Yeah,
because with NXT is such a confined space when you're at Full Sail that you get that passionate fan base that's never really going to tire of you. But when you expand the crowd and you include, tenfold that many more people in the building, there's that many more people that are eventually going to get tired of it, where that small confined space at Full Sail is always going to love you. But then when you get to the big stage, that's where if you don't keeping it fresh or keeping, changing, they turn on you.
Mm-hmm. So have you been to a show at Full Sail?
No, I want to so bad once it opens back up.
WrestleMania was the first time I've ever stepped foot in the state of Florida. So no, I have not been to Full Sail University, unfortunately.
They hold about 500 in there. Is that about right, Rick?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small little college there that they have down there, but yeah, it's a very intimate crowd. And then they hold a lot less nowadays.
That's where Undertaker's son went to school.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of a gay.
He went to, what'd you say? He's kind of a gay university.
No. I was getting ready to say Full Sail's kind of a platform to jump into the video game development.
Yeah, that's what he went for.
Yeah.
For that. So, hey, who do you think is going to win on these Backlash matches?
I think Bianca is going to beat Bailey. Me too. Because I ultimately think Sasha's going to get in the mix, and I think those three are going to fight over the title for a couple more months.
It's very conspicuous that we haven't seen Sasha.
Right. She'll show up on Sunday. I will almost guarantee that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other ones that we've gone through, we all like the Mysterios. I think we all like Roman Reigns to retain as well, and those are your big SmackDown matches on Sunday. We really don't have any other ones, do we? There's only 6 matches so far, and I think the other 3 are on Raw.
Yeah. So the top match on Raw is a 3-way.
Yeah, so it's Bobby Lashley against McIntyre and Braun Strowman.
I think Drew's coming out. I think Drew's coming out on top on that one.
I don't. I think Drew is. I love Drew, and he's done a great job kind of carrying Raw for the last year plus. I think it's time to let somebody else move up. I don't know who, but he could take a bit of a break from a WWE title picture, and it's not going to hurt him. He'll be back sooner than later, but I think it's time to look at somebody else. I like Lashley to retain.
My guess is WWE is going to be going on the road in 2 months, and I think they want to have Drew as champion when they do go on the road.
What do you think, Dutch?
Why do you think that?
I just think just for the reactions.
Rick, get the bullwhip.
I got this.
So I can whip Jeremy a little bit, whip some sense into him. Why do you think that?
I just think that that's the baby face of that brand right now is Drew McIntyre. So I just have this gut feeling that Vince wants to have the title on him once they start going, once they start touring.
So what do you think, Rick?
I think Lashley wins. I think he probably pins Strowman, to be completely honest with you.
Mm-hmm. I do too, really. Then I think they got the program with McIntyre and Lashley. Then they could run with that. I would think. What's their next pay-per-view, you said?
Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. Okay. What other Raw match do they have?
They have the Raw Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Asuka and Charlotte Flair. WWE, they love putting titles on Charlotte Flair. God, that would be interesting if they pulled the title off of Rhea this early, though.
Yeah, that would make her an 11-time champion.
13.
Oh, 13? Oh, man. I fell asleep for a couple of them, apparently.
You're not counting NXT titles.
But how much steam is behind that? Since I don't watch Raw, how much steam is behind that match?
Well, yeah, and Charlotte's in there because of the management. The management of Sonya Deville, who's clashing heads with Adam Pearce. So
I saw more of that tonight as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the good cop, bad cop in terms of who's managing the brand there. And
so Charlotte is kind of the lead of this story heading into this matchup, which makes me think she's going to win.
That's my prediction.
Or Asuka's going to get pinned again. I think that what should happen is Rhea should pin Charlotte and bring it full circle for what happened at last year's WrestleMania when Charlotte beat Rhea, when everybody thought it was going to be the reverse of that, and Charlotte won the NXT championship off of her.
Yeah.
But I will never pick against Charlotte Flair in a championship match. I just don't. There's just certain things you don't bet against, and that's one of them. I will never bet against Charlotte when a title is on the line.
I mean, you know she's going to surpass her daddy. She's going to have 17 reigns eventually.
Oh, she might have 20.
Right.
To be completely honest with you.
You're not wrong.
And then finally.
So they are shooting for that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hands down they are. And you
they-
know what's
they-
going to happen
they
at
got-
WrestleMania.
They got one more Raw match. What is that?
It is the 19th match between Damian Priest and The Miz in a lumberjack match.
Yeah.
Which Damian Priest will win, and
Yeah.
then these two never need to talk to one another again.
Ever. Don't even need to talk on the phone.
The horse is already dead.
And by the way, and that's your next program, in my opinion. Damian Priest, Bobby Lashley.
Did you hear that it was like a boomer bust for Priest in the Bad Bunny thing? Like he
said that, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Like he was going to be basically put into catering if this whole thing with Bad Bunny didn't succeed.
That's why he worked so hard with Bad Bunny to make sure that man
talk about pressure.
And he delivered.
They told Damian Priest that?
Yeah.
That he was going to be put on ice.
Yeah, catering crew, basically.
Yep.
Wow. Man, that is pressure.
Yeah.
But I guess they came through, right?
He did.
It was the most talked about match of the whole weekend. A lot of that had to do with Bad Bunny. So look, you talk about pressure on Damian Priest. Not only was this Bad Bunny's first match ever, but it's at WrestleMania, and you got your tag team partner's career on the line, basically.
Yeah. And it's it was also one of the best builds of WrestleMania season. I loved the entire build of that story.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I'm ready for Damian Priest to wrestle somebody other than The Miz and John Morrison, or Elias and Riker and Angel Garza. Those are the only 5 people that he has wrestled since he came to Raw in January.
We're getting that Miz and
the same 5 people.
We're getting that Miz and Morrison split though too.
Tell me about this team, Riker and who?
Elias.
And they have another member in there.
No.
Jackson. Okay.
It's Jackson, Riker, and Elias.
Just a tag team, yeah.
So Jackson Riker, he was a soldier or something, or had something to do with the military.
Yeah, so he was part of this group called the Forgotten Sons that had 2 other guys in it. It was a trio. And then in the last few months, the 2 other guys were both released. So they kind of just put him with Elias over on Raw.
Did the cancel culture get him, you think?
It put a hold on him for a while.
Yeah, he put some tweets out that weren't well received, and that's what kind of killed the Forgotten Sons gimmick, because they took him off TV, and then they took the other 2 off TV, and then they brought the other guys back, but again, there were some other circumstances that ultimately led to their release, and then they put Riker with Elias, and they're kicking it on Raw right now, throwing rotten tomatoes at people every week. Rotten tomatoes that are fresh as hell. It is the weirdest thing.
They can erase that from the creative script going forward, if please.
Although that look that Randy Orton gave when he had a tomato running down his face was scary. I would not want to be in front of that.
No.
Well, guys, this has been another really, really fun episode. Jeremy, what do you got going on, man? Anything to promote? Anything you want to toss out there?
Just have my podcast, Lost in the Mid Card, with my buddy Matt Black. We record every Wednesday after Dynamite and put it out every Thursday. So you can check us out there. Just search for Lost in the Mid Card on the on your podcasting apps, or head to Twitter at LITMC Podcast. We do a video version too, so we got a link there as well. And you can follow me on the Twitter at JB Huskers.
Dutch, what you got going on?
Nothing. Hey, I do a podcast too. I told you about it last week. Sometimes I don't really do it. I sometimes appear as a guest on my own podcast. But I'm bringing it back. University of Dutch. I'm with Dr. John. He's my co-host, and we talk about anything and everything that comes up. It's not strictly wrestling related. We talk about everything. And you can follow me on Twitter, Dirty D Mantell, and you can follow me on Facebook at just Dutch Mantell, or email me at dirtydutchmantell@gmail.com. And I'm writing another book.
Ooh.
I'm writing my third book. It's probably half completed now. Having a little more trouble with this one because of everything has changed about wrestling. The culture has changed. So I used to tell old stories. Now the story is a little more updated. It was like my last WWE run with the Real Americans and some stuff like that. But it's going to be a good book. So look forward. Hopefully coming out at Christmas.
All this talk about podcasts, got to bring up my man Kev Kellum here real quick, because we got a new podcast here for Sportskeeda Wrestling. Comes out every Thursday night, and we've had 2 episodes so far of the Inside Cradle, and I think if I do say so myself, Kev, and by the way, it's me and Kevin on the Inside Cradle. I think we've knocked these first 2 episodes out of the park, sir.
Well, it also helps that Bailey Drew McIntyre, and Jim Ross were on the show. So I do want to say that we weren't the draws, but we did deliver some fun stuff. It is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're going to be on Apple soon. There's just a little bit more of a process to get on Apple sometimes. But I dropped the link if you're with us on the live stream in the chat as well. And if you're watching us on YouTube, just go down to all of our socials. You'll see our podcast links there and find out what app works for you. And also, we just dropped a bonus full interview with Jim Ross. We don't even have a video of that out yet. So you guys can get a 38-minute conversation with Jim Ross talking about Studio Sessions, his new show on ad-free shows. And he has a lot of stories about Vince McMahon. We got into a very private Vince McMahon scenario that he shared with me, which was very, very nice. And you can check that out. It's up in our podcast feed, up now on Spotify.
Also, you can check out my entire conversation with Bailey up in 2 parts on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. And we talked about Bailey possibly flipping back to babyface. I actually asked her that question, what she would think about turning back into a babyface and how that would work and how it would differ from her old hugger gimmick. We also talked a lot about her match coming up with Bianca Belair on Sunday. And she gave a really just a heartfelt, emotional response to watching Sasha Banks in the main event of WrestleMania that you guys just have to see. It was really good. Also gave some love to Tamina. She was rooting for her to win the tag team titles tonight, and she did. So we're going to close the show saying congratulations to Natalya and especially Tamina. You got off the schneid, Tamina. You're no longer known as the 24/7 champ. You've now won some gold. Congratulations. Now put those titles on the line against the Riot Squad. Gentlemen, it has been a heck of a show. We'll be back next week. We appreciate everybody who chimed in, everybody who liked, everybody who commented, who had a question for Dutch, and we'll be back next Friday night at 10:05 right here. Sportskeeda Wrestling.